Hello everyone, welcome to my video today, Jupiter in the first house. Um, Before we begin, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please press the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Your support is greatly appreciated. So let's begin today's video with Jupiter in the first house. So when we're talking about Jupiter in the first house, let's talk about what Jupiter is first and what it represents. Jupiter represents the ninth house of your chart, and it also is the lord of the 12th house, which is the house of Pisces and Sagittarius. When Jupiter is sitting in the first house, it is aspecting the fifth house, the seventh house, and the ninth house from where it sits. And what this means is that if Jupiter is sitting here in the first, its rays are being sent over to these houses. So you can see the effects of the Jupiter in these houses as well. So if you have good aspecting Jupiter here, the aspects into these houses will also be felt. So Jupiter is a very, very important planet in your chart. It's actually second after the moon. So the moon is your mind, and Jupiter is your luck, and it's what luck you're bringing into this world, and what that luck is going to bring into your life, and how it plays out in your chart. So Jupiter is very, very important. It represents the judges and the advisors, scholars, professors, experts, the gurus, the father and father figures. As you can tell from this list, this is very educated, wise people. So that's what Jupiter represents. Internally, what it will show is the ability to judge and advise other people. And you do this through obtaining a master in some particular knowledge. So that's your knowledge to give to other people, to teach other people, because Jupiter is a teacher. And it's also the considered the lawyer of astrology as well, because Jupiter writes laws. It represents the lawyer because of that. And it makes, it's actually very happy when people follow those laws and the laws of the world, and how the ethics of the world should be. So Jupiter's qualities are that of wisdom and education. Jupiter is responsible for the education in your life. So all the education from your basic to your master's to your PhD is all dependent on your Jupiter. It is also a quality of advising and consulting. And like I was saying before, Jupiter in your first is going to aspect the fifth, the seventh, and the ninth. Now, the fifth is your kids. It's your romance, your fun, and your creativity. Seventh is partnerships. It's the other people in your life. It is your spouse and the qualities of your spouse. And it is also the aspecting the ninth house, which is the house of higher learning. It's long distance journeys. It's religion, your gurus. So it's all of those things. So if your Jupiter is well placed, then the fifth, the seventh, and the ninth will also feel those aspects as well. Jupiter grows here, and it'll also bring growth into these areas as well. So Jupiter, how will it affect your life? So if you're putting Jupiter in the first, how is it going to bring prosperity and fortune? Because that's what Jupiter represents, is prosperity and fortune in your life, and the luck factor that you bring into this lifetime. So Jupiter is all things that expand, and it's your optimism. So it's going to bring expansion into these areas of your life, and you're also going to have that positive attitude towards these areas of your life as well. So what Jupiter likes. Jupiter likes rituals and religion and tradition, culture, education, travel, morals, and values. These are the things that Jupiter brings into your life, and these are the things that Jupiter likes. So if you're a Jupiter person, you're going to like these things. You're going to like traditions, and you're going to like your culture, and you're going to follow your culture, and you're going to follow traditions. You're going to make traditions with your family. You're going to want your spouse and your children to follow the rituals and traditions and cultures of your particular lifestyle as well. you're going to want them to follow the religion. You're going to be of high morals and values, and you're going to bring that into their life as well. So these are the things that Jupiter likes, and these are the things that you as a Jupiter person are going to like. So Jupiter represents your husband, and it represents the children you will have. So Jupiter is the karka of the children you will have. So it's responsible for giving you children. A lot of people misunderstand Mars as because Mars is also the alpha male energy in charts as well, but Mars is not responsible for giving children. Mars is a male friend. It can be a boyfriend. It can also represent brothers. It's a male energy, but it is not the energy, male energy, that is responsible for husband and children. Jupiter is what gives you the family, the husband, the children is responsible, is the karka of Jupiter. So Jupiter in the first house. What are you doing when you're putting this Jupiter, this expansive giant in your first house? What are the effects that it's going to bring into your life? What does it mean? So the first house, it represents your body, yourself, your personality, your looks, your constitution, your strengths and your weaknesses as a person. So the first house is your natural vitality, your personality, your appearance, your ego, the first impression you make. And it represents you as a unit, as far as if your whole chart, if you're thinking about your chart as this is the world, the stage of the world, then this is you. This is your spouse. These are your children, your father, your mother, your younger siblings, your older siblings, your family as a unit. So in that scheme of life, if you're looking at your chart as a whole, then this first house represents you. So if we're putting Jupiter in this house, and we're putting you together in this house, what does that mean? Jupiter in the first house, Jupiter is big, it's expansion, you, your body, your ego. What will happen here, it will actually bring that expansion to you as well. It could be your body, you could have weight issues, and you could also be very big boned. There's something about you that's big, and it could be a very big personality. You could have a really wonderful first impression that you make. You could be really confident, but you could also be overconfident. It brings a big ego, and it all depends on your Jupiter. Is your Jupiter well aspected, or is it afflicted in any way? That's going to affect how this bigness comes into play. So Jupiter in your first house, Jupiter represents traditions and culture and education. And we're putting you in that first house. Now Jupiter is representing you in the same way. So you become traditional and cultural, and you become educated. So now you're seeing the picture of how it's all coming together. Jupiter is morally strong and of good values. That's what Jupiter stands for. So that gives you good values and makes you strong morally. So it's a good thing. It makes you very sensitive to the needs of other people, and it makes you very considerate by nature, because you're having all these qualities of Jupiter here. And you'll always try to do what's morally correct. Morally is a strong word here, because that's the whole if I had to use one or two words to describe Jupiter, it would be expansion, morals and values and ethics. And I guess that's more than one word. Okay, it'll make you wise. It'll make you spiritual and religious. It'll bring all these aspects into your personality. So Jupiter in the first. Jupiter is luck, it's your optimism. And you in the first house, that makes you an optimist, and it makes you lucky. So what does that mean? That means that you're going into this world with this great attitude. Because you feel like you're born lucky, and people looking at you will sense that you're lucky. Things come to you easily, and because you feel like you can actually go out there because of the optimistic feeling that you have about life. You feel like you can go out there and do the things you want to do because you feel like you have a better chance. That is another reason why you have good fortune is you actually go out there and do things because of your attitude. Now you end up with a good spouse, and you also end up with good children, and that's because it's also aspecting the seventh house. So you remember when we were looking at the chart, Jupiter was here in the first. It's also aspecting the house of partnership and of your spouse, right? And here is the fifth house, which is the house of children. So now you have great great spouse, great children. That's looking very good. And that positive thinking is going to create a lot of positive attitude, and you're going to take that attitude into the world, and you're going to create a great positive life. So Jupiter is a great planet to have in all the great aspects, and it brings wonderful things to you. And it brings a lot of enthusiastic attitudes about your life. So it'll bring growth into your personality. It'll bring growth into your family. It'll bring growth into your relationship, into your beliefs. And you'll easily overcome any problems that you have. And you'll come out on top. The reason being is because of your attitude. It's that positive attitude that you're going to carry forward in life. And now all of the placements in your chart. So if we're looking at all of the houses, we can't just look at this one placement and make, an assumption of your whole life. You have to look at every single house, and you'll have to look at every lordship, and you have to look at every sign of every house, every conjunction of every house, if there's any yogas being made. So there's a lot of things you have to look at before you can determine the condition of your Jupiter. So if there's any negative aspects to your first house, or to the Jupiter, that will carry into your life accordingly as well. So thank you for watching today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please comment below if there's any other planets or placements you want me to cover. I'd be more than happy to do that.